Hello, namaste. Welcome to The Print. My name is Amna Begum, and this week I have written an article about communal violence which erupted in Uttar Pradesh, Bahraich district recently. As the two communities clashed during the Durga idol immersion procession, the violence claimed the life of a young Hindu man, Ram Gopal Mishra. And Mishra's death is a painful reminder of many such clashes across India. The 22-year-old joins a long list of young lives lost to the senseless cycle of communal violence that plague our nation. Each victim leaves behind a grieving family, parents who have lost their children, children left without parents, and relatives who must carry these deep wounds for a lifetime. Communal violence between the two communities goes beyond the independence of India. This is not a new phenomenon. While growing up in UP, it was never a shock to me to hear about the clashes between two communities taking place whenever the festival of two communities would fall on the same day. Attack on religious procession by the people of other communities, which often result into the communal riots or clashes, used to be a news. In UP, I was exposed to many stories about communal rights, and one thing that strikes me is the different how the local communities respond to the conflict on to the social media. On the ground, I have witnessed genuine efforts by the local leaders from both sides, senior citizens stepping up to bridge divides, mediating peace talk, and fostering dialogues aimed at solution. But sadly, social media seems to operate in a parallel universe, more focused on assigning blame to one side or painting the victim to other side, rather than seeking a common ground. Many popular accounts on social media seems to often fuel conflicts, feeding into a cycle of polarization rather than finding a solution. I believe the reason could be that people behind these accounts seek attention and popularity by being part of such a nasty cycle without having any skin in the game. While local people have to face the real consequences, these clashes would never affect those on the social media and real life. They would be sipping their coffee in their AC room. So start with to start about this entire episode of Ram Gopal Mishra and the such a clashes. I want to ask a few questions. The first is that why this idea of Muslim area even exists in India. While the issue of ghettoization is real, it does suggest many times that a locality with a majority of Muslim population is inherently problematic or different and hence should not be accessible to other communities of India. Also, there's a troubling discourse that often frame Hindu procession passing through these Muslim majority areas as inherently contentious. So, in the recent case of Ram Gopal Mishra death, we also can see the narrative played out on social media on both sides. Prominent influencers shared video of Mishra removing green flag and replacing it with the saffron ones, almost as the thought attempting to justify or shift the blame for his killing. They come across as a disturbing form of victim blaming, excusing violence by suggesting that victim action was provocative. And the same time, we can see there are account who are sharing very grave detail, which is I don't know how much verified of the victim and his plight, which is sad, but they are ignoring this other part, this entire cycle, how it started, where was the problem, why there is such an enormity, and sharing these details. This feels, I mean, I understand when someone share this detail for two reasons. First, to bring certain kind of social changes. Second, if justice is not has not been met. But in this case, state has taken very active kind of action. The response. The second, the problem of this hatred or this conflict has to be discussed very carefully because there are people, the innocent lives are involved here, but this doesn't seems the case here. This seems more kind of playing to the gallery of being victim, or blaming, being oppressed and oppressor. That is the main kind of motives here. So instead of asking why Muslim might feel hypersensitive or on edge during Hindu religious procession in public space, a certain section appears intent on suggesting that Hindu procession should avoid Muslim majority areas altogether. This approach not only sidesteps the underlying issue but also implies an acceptance of segregated public space. Imagine if this same logic was applied during Muslim procession. Would we then advocate for restriction these even from passing through Hindu majority areas? In fact, there are videos where Muslims procession are playing provocative songs shared by certain social media account and speeches. So, but I do not hear any such retaliatory attack on them, or very rarely. I think I have read only one this kind of news. So there is also argument that some Hindu procession engage in provocative chants, slur, abuses, with some suggesting these event reflects an Ashwamedha theory approach, where the procession either lead to conflict or assert a psychological dominance over the Muslim population. But even if we were to accept that there is some truth to this claim, would it justify a retaliatory killing or attack? These lines of reasoning is similar to arguing that cow slaughter or smuggling is more about an intentional affront to Hindu sentiment. Would then this justify the violence by the cow vigilantes? The reality is that there is a certain lack of the understanding or trust between communities that drive a wedge between them. When you already see each other as a different or have a doubt of intention, most of your action would come across as disrespectful or an attack. These fault lines have deep historical roots shaped by, I mean, everything from ancient history, tribal conflicts to scar of religious war and invasion. And while regressive and archaic belief within the Muslim community already pushed them to segregation and filled them with the distrust, modernity could have been a solution of them accepting diversity and coming out of the segregation mindset. Having said that, it does. I do not deny that there can be discrimination against the identity, which pushes them more in basically in ghettoization, but that cannot be excuse for the community to not come out of their own mindset, problematic mindset. But sadly, those who should be working to reform it are more concerned with shifting blame on other side, or painting themselves just a victim, or fighting with the authority. So it only fills the community with more suspicion towards the other community. Unfortunately, the other side is losing patience with social media driven polarized narrative. There's a reducing space for giving a benefit of doubt and willingness to create a space for honest communication. As trust erodes, so does the willingness to engage in honest communication that could bridge a divide. And since these communities, various communities in India have been living for very long together, and this is the only way ahead now, we have to think about what could be the solution and what would drive our future. Are we going to be hostile to each other, or we going to find some common ground? For more such a video, please keep watching The Print. Thank you.